Hello there. In this video I'm going to show you how you can make your own personalised ring using Fluid Designer for 3D printing. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this Celtic knot pattern ring, and I'm going to put the letter A, which is a uppercase Harrington font A, on the ring, but of course you could put any letter of the alphabet that you want. So if we go to Fluid Designer for 3D printing, I'm going to use these Harrington fonts. So this is the character, the letter A, that I'm going to use, but I add that to my ring by using the append function. So if I just go to the rings folder, and I'm looking for a Celtic knot ring, and I'm going to use this 4-leaf ring pattern. So if I just drag and drop that onto the workspace, now you can actually purchase this from our website at fluiddesigner.co.uk, already pre-built for you, and all you need to do really is to change the size of the ring. So at the moment the ring size is the default size in the diameter here, which is 15.09, I think it is. Let me just double check. Yeah, 15.09, so the default size is UK size H+. I'm going to set it at a different size, so I'm going to select UK size P+, 18.14 millimeters in the diameter, and you can see that that changes the ring. So we don't need this object here. This isn't being used anymore, the inner diameter object. What we are using is UK size P+, so we're going to use this object. So this Celtic knot pattern is being wrapped around that curve there. Now if you want to change the ring pattern, you can do. If we go to set the columns here, it's got an offset at the moment of 0.8, and if you change this, notice that the pattern actually changes. But the count is still at 4. Okay, so I'm going to actually set it back to 0.8 again, which was the default size to give me that pattern. But again, you know, you can set this whatever you want. And what we need to do is to complete the ring. Now I'm going to leave a gap here because I'm going to assume that that's the type of ring that we want, and certainly if you print in steel at Shapeways, it's a good idea to leave this little gap at the bottom, because printing in steel you won't get the absolute dimensions here. There's a kind of tolerance of about plus or minus 4 or 5%, but by leaving this gap here you'll be able to print in steel at Shapeways no problem. Okay, so there's my ring. I've changed the ring size, and I've changed the count, so I can just move that out of the way. What I want to do now is put the letter A on the top here. So if I just go to View and Top View, as I showed you before, this is in Harrington fonts. If I just click Group Library there, Harrington font is what I'm going to use, and I'm going to use capital letter A. Well, what I'm going to do is go to File and Append, and in Fluid Designer you always go through the menu system until you get to the Groups folder, and that's where all the patterns and various folders are on your system. And I want Patterns Alphabet Harrington font, and I'm going to use a capital letter A, and we always append the object. So it's Harrington font A, and I just append that from the library. So there's my letter A. And it's not highlighted at the moment, but if I click on it you'll see that the border turns to yellow, so there it's highlighted. So there's my letter A, and the default shape of this, the cross section, is 1mm by 2mm, and I can see that in the properties panel here under curves. So in other words, that's 1mm wide and 2mm deep. Now these are parametric smart objects, so if you wanted to change this you could change it. Just need to scroll down to the bottom here. So I could change it. It's currently 1 by 2. I could change it to 1 by 3 and make it thicker if I wanted. But I'll set it back to the default size of 1 by 2. Now I need to put this on the top, so I need to rotate it about the x-axis. And if I just drag with the mouse here, so what I want is I want minus 90 degrees as the rotation, and then I can just pull it up to the top. Now if I just go view and top view again, now if you notice we look at the bottom here, it's not quite set up straight at the bottom, and the reason for that is it will vary, this setting at the bottom, depending upon the setting here for the relative offset, depending on the count. So if we want to tidy that up a little bit, we can do. First of all, highlight the ring, and if we press the tab key to go into edit mode, and essentially what we want to do is either move the ring to the right or the left, and I think it's probably to the right. I'll move it a couple of units and let's just see what happens. Yeah, there you are, I've gone wrong. I actually need to move it the other way, so if I move it 1, 2, if I move it 3 the other way, and that's a little bit better. Now it's not exactly central there, so what I can do is, instead of actually moving it on the x-axis here, if I go up to the transform panel, and again I'll have to just, no, I want to go the other way I think, so if I go down to I'll try 0.7, and if I just zoom in, now you can see that's a lot better, and I've actually probably got it fairly much central there. So what you can do is zoom in and you can change this value at the top here, and then I'm just pressing the tab key to switch from edit mode to normal mode to see the ring wrapped around that curve. Now the ring itself is also a parametric smart object like the letter A, so it is possible to change the thickness of the ring. You need to select it first. At the moment it's 1mm circular. If you wanted to change that, we could change it to a kind of square pattern, a little bit like the one at the top, the letter A. So if I change the cross section to 1 by 1, you'll see that that gives me a more square cross section. So the choice is yours really, and you could change the thickness. Now I think if I do 1 by 2 it'll probably look a bit weird. Yeah, it has done. If that sort of thing happens, instead of 1 by 2, if you just try 2 by 1 instead, that will give you the right kind of appearance. So you could do that. Now I think that's a little bit too thick, so I'm going to set it back to the default size of 1 by 1. Now something to be careful of when you are changing the size here is to just double check that this really is still on the inside of that curve. If it isn't, what you need to do is to go into edit mode and make sure the bottom of the object just touches the red line, the x-axis. It is at the moment, so that's okay. Now one more thing that I'm going to do here is if I just select the curve, that's the line there that this ring is wrapped around. If I go into edit mode by pressing the tab key on the keyboard, and if I just select that one control point at the top there, just the one control point selected, what I can do is I can change this radius value over here, and I'm going to hold down the left mouse button and drag the mouse to the right, and you can see what's happening is I'm opening up the pattern there at the top. So if I just take that back down to 1, that's where we started. In fact, I'll just type in 1. That's where we started. Sorry, 1 it should be there. Okay, and so by increasing this radius here, you can change the cross section of the ring. Now I'm going to type in the value too. In fact, no, I'm going to go a little bit below that. I'm going to go back to 1.8. So I'm just letting my letter A stick out there. So what I've done, as you can see, I've just tapered the Celtic knot pattern itself. And once you've done that, you can come out of edit mode by pressing the tab key on the keyboard. And if I just go to view and top view now, Now you may want to adjust the letter A after you've done that, because we've changed the thickness slightly at the top. It's slightly thicker now than it is over here. So if I just switch off the snap, and if I just move that up, I know that this is 2 millimeters thick, so that's 1 millimeter to there, and 1 millimeter it's overlapping, and I'm quite happy with that, I think. I mean, if you wanted, you could rotate the A around, but I'm going to leave it like that. So come out of, sorry, we're not in edit mode, sorry. So now what we want to do is to just join the two objects together, and before we do that, we need to convert each of them to a mesh. So when I convert the A to a mesh, and Tools, Object Tools, and convert the ring itself to a mesh, and then if I just hold down the Shift key and highlight the font, the ring itself was already highlighted, and if I go to Tools, Object Tools, and Join, I will now have one object, my ring. Now the only thing you need to do now is to export this as either an OBJ file or as an STL file. I did this earlier, and I exported it as an OBJ file to the desktop, and I just saved it with the name Personalised Celtic Knot Ring 4-leaf, exported that to the desktop. And what you must always do when using Fluid Designer for 3D printing, you must always run Netfab Basic and run the repair procedure. Now I did do this before and it worked fine, and I uploaded that to Shapeways, and you can actually get it made at Shapeways for about £10 or $10 approximately, and that's it. That's how you can make your own personalised Celtic knot ring using Fluid Designer for 3D printing. Good luck.